The premise of the film is that, my mom died when I was 19 and in college. And then my family just didn't talk about it. Like a lot of families back then,
Mm-hmm.
suicide is not something you talk about. So 30 years down the line, I started hating my life in television. And, I was just, my own depression was catching up with me and all that stuff. And finally I realized, this needs to be talked about. Like, this is obviously something on my mind, and it's kind of stupid not to talk about it. So I just asked if we could, and we did. And it hasn't changed anything in these great ways. Like, I don't call home every day going, "I love you, Daddy."
Yeah.
But, I feel like all our conversations are real. Even if we're talking about the weather, it's like, because I'm listening to him, I don't have that thing anymore of like, why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we talking about it? Even though I didn't need to all the time, the fact that we never had just put this whole thing around it. So I think just the fact that I'm now free to say it, and it's also given me purpose, and because I've become involved in volunteering and helping other like recent survivors. I do a peer support thing with them. So it's given me a purpose, I think, that I no longer found in producing television.
And that you didn't have before you were talking about it with your family, right? If it was something that was so, I don't know if it was taboo or if it was just denial or what was going on with your family with why it wasn't spoken about, but it leaves you stunted, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It stunts your development.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't, we're developing all the time. I'm still growing and developing. But if you keep banging up against the same wall, it doesn't matter what therapy you do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what, sage you smudge yourself with, how many psychics you talk to. If you keep banging up against that same wall, you can't go any further.
And also when it's there for so long, it does so much more damage. Because I do this little YouTube series called Talking About Suicide Loss where I ask other loss survivors 3 basic questions. Did you talk about it initially? Why did you decide to go public with your story? And how did it change your relationship to your grief? And this one woman she actually lost her mom when she was in high school, and her family, like my family, it wasn't taboo. Nobody said, don't talk about it. We just kind of didn't. It was, I guess, generational and just our own weirdness. But with her aunt said, no, it was a heart attack. You were telling people it's a heart attack.
Oh my God.
She didn't. She lost friends. She lost a boyfriend, and she found nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to help her. And so the line that always stuck with me that she said was, I always wonder who I would have been if that hadn't have happened.
Oh my God.
And that's kind of the same for me, because my mom was a social worker, and I think I was depressed since birth, but I wasn't a great teenager in terms of like figuring out stuff I liked and where I was going. So I was just kind of following the path, and I'm pretty sure I would have been a social worker. So that's always sort of been a guilt thing for me that I went into television, not social work. So for me, this kind of combines the two. It's like my social service gene kicked in,
right?
And it does make me feel good, but I don't have to like be a social worker. I can use that in something that I found that I do love too, which is telling stories.